Welcome, all you weirdos and whack jobs, to another episode of I'd Rather Be Motivated, episode 31. Here with David Fleming and myself, Scott O Green. We are the co-creators of I'd Rather Be Drawing.com. And this is our weekly art check-in show where we help keep each other accountable on our projects and just keep in touch since we're kind of living across the country from each other now. Hey, David, how's it going?
It's going great, man. Just doing my thing, living my life, finishing my Kickstarter and cramming in all those last minute touches.
And squeezing in some fan art on the side. Hey, when we're not here on YouTube, where can people find your progress?
Art of Mr. Fleming on Instagram and Mr. David Fleming on the Facebookers. Another fun thing for the progress. Just finished my Kickstarter, and I didn't know you could do this. Apparently, when the Kickstarter ends, it stays up, like the page where the Kickstarter was is still there, and you can change sort of like the button that used to be like fund the project is now like follow the project. And so on my store envy, which is same thing, Mr. David Fleming, I made an actual pre-order button. So even if you missed out on the Kickstarter, you can actually go there, and which is the same link to my Kickstarter sends you there, or to my store envy, and you can actually pre-order still on top of it all, and I will still send you a book when they come in. Thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. It sounds like that's something, I don't know if that's a new feature or not, if that's addressing the something that I thought was kind of cool on Indiegogo versus Kickstarter was after you funded, you could like not end your campaign but keep it, I think, in something called in demand or something like that.
Yeah.
People could just keep sort of fun. I don't know if it works the same way as if it's just essentially a pre-order to wherever you're selling it, or if it just kind of keeps adding money to your bottom line until you eventually end it or not.
I would think it probably is that. I would think it'd probably be like you probably get like an announcement like blah blah is added another 20, and then you would like send them whatever. And that'd be really strange though in terms of the campaigns, because then could somebody buy like a top tier after they've already ended, and then all of a sudden you'd be like, oh shoot, I'm doing another commission. Like, I guess it's not a bad thing, but like I don't know, that's an interesting thing. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, maybe it's just like enough to just order the book, I think.
Yeah.
Understand. Jeff Lafferty, who did Berserk or Not and does the ArtCast and everything, his book, I don't know if it still does or not exactly how that works, but because I was a patron, I don't know how do you say it for Indiegogo. I was an Indiegogoer.
Right. Yeah. What do you call that?
Campaign. I don't know. But so I got the book anyway. But I remember him talking about that for like quite a while afterwards. But
yeah, I was listening to a podcast.
Let's just jump into it and keep telling me about your progress. I got everything I needed set up right here, but I forgot my little bag of pens. So just keep getting me caught up on your progress. I'm going to take 2 seconds. I'll be right there and back, but I'll let you kind of take it for a bit.
Yeah, so progress is fully funded, going through that process of what that looks like afterwards. Like I was saying, I feel like no one ever talks about the front and back end of the Kickstarter stuff, so I kind of like would share it for anyone who plans on doing a Kickstarter. You wait basically 2 weeks for your money afterwards, because Kickstarter actually waits a week before they sort of close out your pledge. Like, let's say you pledged and your card expired, or like you realized, oh crap, I pledged at the beginning of the month, I don't actually have money right now. Like that kind of thing definitely happens. Then it gives you a week before it shuts you off to still be able to like back the thing, and then they like process your funds. So I'm still in that zone. But while you're in that zone, I'm also sending out like the surveys, which is like, hey, you backed, tier number 2, and tier number 2 says you get to put your name in it, and you backed like this or that, and I need your address and that kind of stuff. And what ends up happening, like I've had this experience with the people I know more, because that's like the first time I've ever used a Kickstarter before. They're like, do I need to give Kickstarter my information? And I'm like, no, it's not for Kickstarter, it's for me. Like, you have to kind of almost explain to some of your backers that I'm requesting your address so I can ship you the book. It has nothing to do with Kickstarter anymore.
Yeah, and I don't know. I actually have one. I backed somebody. He's actually a part of the 100, so I haven't really reached out yet. But he had a Kickstarter, and there was something where, me and computers anyway and keeping up with stuff, and it was one of the first ones I backed, or one of the second ones or whatnot. And I didn't realize it was going to keep asking you for the info. Like, I knew my address was already in there and everything. So I thought I would just, I pledged to it and just forgot about it. And like months after the thing ended, I saw where I had like 3 messages on Kickstarter being like, hey man, are you going to give me that address? So I finally was like, oh shoot, sorry, here you go. But I haven't ever heard anything back. So I don't know if there is like a statute of limitations on that or how that works. But,
Yeah, I'm actually super worried about, like, I guess worried isn't the right word for it, but like, yeah, it's like so you signed up for Kickstarter and gave them all your information, but they don't, like, I would think it's probably a legal thing. They can't give me that information, because when you signed up with that information, you didn't say, sure, give it to whoever the heck you want. You gave it to Kickstarter, you know?
That makes sense, but it makes sense also, like, to, you know, dummies like me or whatever, that when you sign up for an online thing and they make you fill out your mailing address,
right?
That also has to do with your card or whatever, but that, like, that will, if you ever buy anything, that's where it'll go. But it also makes sense that you would need to verify that each and every time, because people are going to have these accounts for years and years and move.
Yeah, where they move and just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm in that zone where I think I have 15 I haven't heard from. So I think my numbers are pretty good. I've got 3 people who I'm still waiting to pay, and I've got 15 to write the survey still. So, I mean, in terms of like my numbers, I feel like I'm trucking along. That feels pretty good.
So I missed just a little bit before, but I think I kind of heard the overall thing. So you're still kind of waiting to getting like your final numbers?
Waiting to actually get the So at like how 58 people backed, but 50 people could all of a sudden decide, even at the last minute, actually, I don't want this, and pull the funding up until Kickstarter actually charges their card. So I'm in the zone of like waiting to see who actually ends up backing in the end, kind of thing. And I have 3. I'm only waiting on 3 people though. So
yeah. So that sounds all pretty awesome.
Yeah, and they're all first tier backer people too. So it's like at the most I might lose $50 here at the end, and like. And everyone I've talked to, $100 to $150 is a pretty normal number to lose near the end.
Oh, okay. I was curious about that.
So yeah, I don't think there's like a metric exact, but anyone who I've ever talked to who's done it has said that they've lost at least close to 100. You just, you get random backer who backed a month ago and forgot, and then realized like he didn't have the money for it anymore, and like all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a weird thing. It's almost like you wish. Me as a backer, even, I wish you just paid when you paid, but it makes sense that you can't, because Kickstarter doesn't, like, I get the money, not Kickstarter, and it would be like a weird thing, I guess, for Kickstarter, because they process the funds and take a percentage too. Yeah. So I would guess they want to do that all in one trip and not throughout a whole month.
Yeah, and you got to make sure like the thing is successful too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, because I think that's definitely the reason why. Because I don't get the money if it doesn't actually get funded. So then it's like, why, if they took all the money all up front, they'd have to refund people if the thing didn't get funded.
So then if you're still waiting on that, are you already starting on do you have any like fan art or custom things for, is that what this is? Is this a custom thing for the
No, and so this was a thing I did not do my first round. I kind of, a bunch of people told me like, hey, by the way, you probably should, and after the fact, and I was trying to make this as least stressful as possible, since this is a brand new thing for me. I wasn't trying to have like 100 different tiers of this thing and that thing. And so I didn't actually have any like, the only custom art thing you could do was like, you could buy the pages from the book. And I kind of did that on purpose because they were already made. And then I had to worry about like, all right, I'm doing commission 7,000 for all these different people and all that kind of stuff. So the only thing I've got going on here is that I made a black and white version, like limited edition print of Apollo that people who backed at the top tier get. And I made bookmarks that people who backed above like the 3rd tier get. So I got to send that print order through, but I mean, I still got to wait for the book itself to get printed. So just whenever I make that order, I'll make the print order as well. But I have like finishing touches to do still on the book itself, like proofing pages and finishing like a few of the last pages of like lettering and that kind of stuff. It was all drawn, up pretty much up until the Kickstarter, but the actual editing of the pages and stuff is where I'm at right now, making it look like a book.
For sure. Well, it sounds like you're in a good position to, still working on it, obviously, but it's funded. The comic, for all intents and purposes, is made. It's putting the final touches on what's going to print. So that sounds pretty killer. Anything else you want to mention?
In terms of progress, that's it. I can only share so much too, and I want to share like pictures and stuff. But man, all like the first chapter that I like made a preview for, and then the second chapter like, and I've already posted a lot of the pages from that too, are all like, after that, everything gets real spoilery and stuff. So like, that's like I'm wanting to share pages, but it's like so hard after I've lettered them and be like, ooh, this is a cool one. But it's like, oh, that shows blah, blah, doing this thing though. And like, not that in context, it might not mean anything, but like, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but still give like cool updates to it, stuff and that kind of thing too.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that makes sense as a segue into some of my progress, if that's cool.
Yeah, it's all you.
So, yeah, I don't think I said this before, but yeah, rolling into it, just in case, if you want to find anything else that I'm working on, which I just wrapped up my 100 days of making comics, and my day 100 video is over on my Instagram account. So when I'm not here, one of the best places to find what I'm up to is on Instagram at Mr. Green Draws, mr.greendraws. But yeah, I posted my day 100 video. 100 Days of Making Comics was started by Kevin Cross. It says every day for 100 days to put at least a half hour towards your comic making project and then post to social media. So it is designed to make that daily post every day, especially, I don't know, to like complete the challenge and in the heart of it and to keep along and everything. I've already kind of done the challenge and completed it, you know, by the letter of the law or whatnot, which meant this time the reason I was doing it was because I was accepted to be in an anthology called Werewolves, Unicorns, and Other Mythical Creatures. And I was able to be in that mostly because I completed the challenge. So anyway, on this challenge, I wasn't worried.
Mostly because you're also awesome. Like, don't downplay that one, right?
Oh, well, obviously. I mean, I usually say that. I'm surprised I forgot to say that. So, and because I'm awesome, right? But anyway, so for this challenge, I had a lot going on, so I wasn't as concerned with posting every day, but I didn't want to do like the just like once a week or like pick a rigid schedule, just kind of post when I had something. So that's what reminded me of what you were saying, because one of the reasons towards the end that I really kind of fell off and wasn't posting very much was because I really did kind of overshare a lot in the beginning. Because my contribution, everyone's contribution in it is just a 4-page comic. So I kind of penciled the whole thing and then was going through and inking the whole thing and just showing every bit of it. And then kind of, and you design a comic so you don't necessarily have to have the words there to tell the story, right? And I was like, well, maybe I should leave a little bit up to the imagination, or maybe let people forget about it for a while. Because now that the 100 days is over, we'll be kind of getting the book together. Well, Mike Emeritz, he's actually the editor of the book. You should definitely look him up, Mike Emeritz, Emeritz.
Looks like he just joined us in the chat, actually.
Oh, hey. Cool. I got to refresh my chat. Well, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, we got some. I just looked over and was like, oh, look at that. There's people doing stuff in the chat.
Oh, very cool. What's up, Mike? You caught me sucking up. Hey. He's the editor of the book as well as contributor in the book and a fantastic artist, so check him out. But anyway, so now the task is going to kind of, the pages of everybody's stories are going to be filling into him, and he's going to be turning them into a beautiful book. Scott Circlin from Circworks is going to be putting a cover together for it, so it's pretty exciting. But anyway, you can kind of see a lot of my progress on what I did, like I said, over there on Instagram. So this week, before talking with you, as a little show and tell here, I did the ink washes. I don't know how well this will show up, but this is my story here. Can you see that at all, David?
I have to stand up.
You're okay. Don't worry about it. But called Fantastic Geographic, and that's my gentleman Jeff Gentry down below. But so I got all of the ink washes done on all of those pages, and I went and got them scanned. This is just a little bit of page 2 after that.
Love seeing those giant size like that.
Yeah, my big art. It's my 11 by 17 pages, done by hand mostly. Cheating here, there a little bit, but so anyway, I got all the washes done on those. I actually did them twice on it. We had the 100 days ended, but we actually have a little bit of a leeway time. He had built in a little cushion, so with the extra time, I kind of stopped, took a deep breath, saw what I learned from doing the washes kind of the first time, what I didn't like, and did them all again. and like where it ended up. So I'm happy for that extra time. So thank you for that, Sarah. Thank you very much. So those are all scanned in. What I want to do now, I'm not going to end up relying on the Zipatones. Zipatone or Screen Tone?
I think you technically call it screen tone. I think Zipatone is a little bit of a different process.
Like that refers to like the doing it by hand with the cutout and everything.
I don't know, and it might just be more of like a American term versus like Japanese, because screen tone is definitely like more implying the Japanese manga kind of thing. But I really honestly think it's the same thing in terms of the end product. So.
Rabbit hole. Sorry. So it's going to be like needing to rely on that a bit more and have to learn all of that stuff. But I think I might just use it in a couple areas, not much, but just as a little bit of a really just kind of for function, which I think will help it look nice as well, but not just kind of like put it everywhere because I don't know how to use it great. So I don't want to go putting it all over everything and be like, oh my gosh, this guy got carried away. So.
Oh yeah.
Got all those done. I also redid, I don't know if you guys can see this guy here. I'm working on a logo for a website that a buddy is going to be helping me with. And it's kind of finally about ready to start going. So yeah, I'm not sure how much of that showed up, but indiegutter.com is what we're going to be working on. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to be sharing more of that as it comes. All of you, yeah, I'm excited to kind of share that with you, but got to keep it
excited to know that you're pushing forward with that.
Do what?
I said, I'm excited to hear you're pushing forward with that.
Yeah, like my buddy, he's helped me out with it, which is like a big help and opportunity and everything, but he's had a lot of stuff going on with life and was kind of like, I'm down, but give me some months. So I was like, cool. But we're kind of setting up a kind of under construction thing right now and all that sort of stuff. So
love it.
Excited about that. I got that scanned and sent to him. And then the other thing I'm excited about, I haven't heard anything back yet, but Bellingham Comic-Con, which is a really cool one because it's a great area for cartoonists, but it is definitely a much smaller one than we're kind of used to going to. So I'm really excited about it for both of those reasons. But I filled out my application here and sent it off today, hoping that I'm accepted because you don't fill out your payment stuff until you kind of send this off, the agreement, and then hopefully they say, yeah, we got room, come on in which case I'll be getting ready for conventioning again, which I haven't done in a while, and I'm really excited about. So
what's the size of that, like in turn, like is it like a KC-Con situation or maybe
no, like not close to that, much more of like a excuse me, like a hotel event center.
I love that.
Because Bellingham and like these towns out here where I'm at are, not very big cities or anything. They're much smaller towns, but you end up getting like really cool people there. But it's just like a much smaller, I don't know. It's like the smaller kind of old style con, but it's still got class, so it has that intimate nature. But it's really centered around the comics and everything. So
some of my best conventions actually have been like going to like Columbia or the local little small college towns and just like hitting like a 4-hour convention. And like, I went to one where it was like in a brewery and it was like 4 hours and it's like one of the best ones I've ever done.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And that's what I've heard a lot is cutting your teeth on the smaller conventions are really cool because you get to meet other people. It's not as much of a cost. This one, it is like, it's not incredibly inexpensive. It's just a one-day con, like an 8-hour thing, I think. And it's $150 for an 8-foot table. So it's not super cheap, but like I said, this is like a big cartoonist community out here. And yeah, to me, like that's a totally worth it. And just to kind of get in and mix it up and see what happens. But by this time, should have books back from the 100s Anthology. I've got my, plug coming. I've got my Mr. Green's Monster Zine to sell right here. As you can see, it's a beautiful book that you probably can't see great. But anyway, and then my comic, Isabel Crane. So yeah, I'm kind of excited. I feel like I finally got some stuff that I'm excited to show. I got to get like some art together, something other than like just the books, But yeah, sorry, I'm kind of yapping, but excited about the progress. So
that's awesome, man.
Good stuff.
Mike Emeritz in the chat just settled our debate. He said Zipatone was the name of the brand back in the day.
Gotcha. So saying using Zipatones is kind of like go get me a Kleenex or
Yeah, that makes sense too, because the Japanese brand is called Deleter, so that would be like that would definitely be like an American term used to like as a replacement.
That's funny. Deleter I've only heard with Deleter Black, which I think is an ink,
That's
right?
it's the same brand.
Oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So very cool, man. We're trucking along with progress. I know we've both been experiencing some of the next big P, the problems.
Yeah. So that was we decided to make that the actual sort of topic of the show as well. So we'll kind of talk about that, and then we'll end the show with plans. How about that?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So yeah. So talking about the Kickstarter, right? What ended up happening was I was going to print with a place called Kraken Print, which I mean I've gotten some and had friends that have gotten some books that have been printed with their company before. They're a local in terms of like in the US based printer. And I think they do some outsourcing, but it's like I was excited to use them because the books I've gotten from them are already like just beautiful art book things, you know, and like I'm always, no matter what I'm making, I'm always worried about the quality and that kind of thing on top of all of it. So I started talking to I started this research back in December, like trying to make sure that I knew like who I was going to print it with before I even went to actual just to print and made my Kickstarter and that kind of stuff. I'm not a procrastinator. Very, very early in my college years, I stopped being that kind of person and just doing everything all up front and not stressing about life. You know, it's been me. So when I do hit bumps in the road, they hit me pretty hard because I'm usually like so well planned that I'm not used to that kind of stuff. So literally probably like once a month up until the month before the Kickstarter, and then once a week I was making sure to email them kind of in just like hey, here's a random question, like, you know, keeping in contact with them so that like I knew they existed and they knew I existed. And then March 11th, which at this point is over a month ago, he was like, cool, gonna get you your final quote. We'll lock it in. We're gonna give you like a template so you can start doing your cover and your spine. And that's it. That's the last time I've ever heard from them. And I started emailing them through the month of the Kickstarter and being like, hey, here's another question. And they were like, you know, just like dead space and being like, hey, by the way, I never actually got that email about my other stuff, just dead space. And so I was like kind of giving the benefit of the doubt all the way up until the Kickstarter ended. And then I realized like, I don't think I'm actually in contact with these guys anymore. So yeah, it was like
so they're still just a no-show.
Yeah, no, all the way up until last week when I decided like, okay, I guess I'm over you guys. I called them, couldn't get a hold of them. I messaged them on Facebook and I messaged them on Instagram, and I had a friend of mine like try to set up a new like print order with them, because like when you do that, they like contact you to say like, hey, this is me, like thanks for setting up a print order. I'll be with you in like X amount of days to talk more. And he did that like Monday of last week, and they have not contacted him at all.
Weird.
To the point that he was like, you know what? I'm just going to message them on Instagram. Are you still in business? And
yeah, no kidding. That's the scary thing about some of this stuff, because like I've heard good things about Kraken Print, but you never know sometimes.
Yeah, so that's the fun story coming to like a little bit of like a close. I'm on a bunch of Facebook comic groups, and so I grabbed the one that I knew had like sort of the most members and was like, hey, this happened to me. Anybody have any good printer companies? And then like in the process of that, like I was going to use Kraken. Like a bunch of other people were like, yeah, you know, I paid them like 3 months ago and I haven't gotten my book yet. And so, and then someone was like, oh, hey, I know someone at Kraken. And then like all of a sudden everyone turned to that guy and was like, hey, can you contact them for me? And then I was kind of like, ooh, I'm out. Like,
yeah.
So it was like
wrong thing to say.
Right. So then it was like, found out from a couple people messaged me and was like, yeah, like basically since last year, like they were the place that people trusted, and like they started dropping the ball late last year, and all this year have been almost like unreachable. So.
Well, that sucks, man. That's a huge problem.
Yeah. But the problem is good, because the printer company that I am now to basically decide to go with, I'm gonna save some money, and I'm gonna be able to print more books too on the same time.
Heck so, yeah, who did you end up going with? Can you tell us?
Yeah, it's called Mixam. It's Mixam. They're digital print, kind of like just like most of the, it's like basically the same thing you'd get if you went to like Kablam or Comics Wellspring. Like it's that same kind of like process and stuff. They have like an
their
automated.
name sucks, but I hope that they're better.
Dude, sucks.
I said their name kind of sucks, but
yeah, no, seriously, it's hilarious too because I think about that in terms of like all the different print companies. Every print company has like a catchy name, and I don't even know if I'm saying their name right. It like their name is super like. I think this is who I'm going with. Like, kind
maybe
of.
It's so catchy you're not even like hip enough to understand what they're.
Yeah, exactly. But it is the website's real trendy looking. They do what's the other really cool printing thing where it, the lithographer isn't that what it's called? Where it's like I think that's what it's called. It's like the old printer that has it's like specific ink colors and stuff. They do a bunch of really cool other things and stuff, and they like sort of just started doing comic printing and stuff like that. And that's how I found out about them because someone was like, hey, I used to use these guys to print like prints basically. And they just started doing comics and the prices are awesome.
Well, that's cool. Did it come off a recommendation or something that you?
Yeah, someone on that like thing when I was like, hey, I need a new printer. Basically, they like messaged me and was like, hey, I've done stuff with this guys before. And they were even like, literally, the funny thing is you did Comics Wellspring, right?
Yeah.
That was like 90% of the people on the post were like, Comics Wellspring, Comics Wellspring, Comics Wellspring. And he was like, I used to use them, and now I use them instead. Kind of like he was like, I love that their quality is freaking great, and their prices are almost a third.
That's cool, because like, yeah, I've used Comics Wellspring, but like I even told you, I mean, they took care of the issues, but it wasn't without,
Got some hiccups
in the road, yeah. And I saw what they can do, and I'm not under contract anywhere, so I'm excited to check out somebody else next time I go to print something. So
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to be choosing somebody that isn't the one that everyone in the world is also choosing, because maybe maybe I might find a nice thing. But the guy sent me a thing, and I'm getting like print samples in the mail by the end of the week and stuff too, just to confirm that I want to use them. And if not, I actually had a guy contact me directly who works for a company that prints like all of the like pamphlets and banners and stuff for comic conventions, and he like threw out a really good price for me too. That's pretty comparable. So I'll end up going with him if I don't end up going with this.
Very cool.
So yeah, how about you in terms of problems and dealing with problems?
So it's funny, I've had so much kind of other crap going on that like the main ones that would be like my art concerns aren't as big of a concern. So like my computer that I'm used to working on, which is, you all know at this point, I'm not a computer savvy person, hardly a savvy person at all. But especially not great on a computer. But I don't know, I got to take it to the doctor. David's under the impression that the prognosis will not be so good. But anyway, it's not doing well. It's not opening up for me right now. It shit the bed. It's not of use to me right now until I get it looked at. So I'm using my wife's computer. Mine was a Mac. Hers is not. So the little I did know is kind of like turned on its head just a little bit. Luckily, there's not a whole lot left, and I think I have a firm grasp because it's just Photoshop on her computer. So I think I've got a pretty firm grasp on the last little bit I need to do with the screen tones and getting Mike the files that he needs and everything. But
luckily, Photoshop doesn't really look much different on different platforms.
Yeah, for sure. I just keep trying to like do things on her like laptop that it doesn't work. But and that tech stuff's been kind of bogging down like the last of my 100 days. Like I'm not a very quick worker anyway, and I'm slow at learning the computer stuff. But it was really getting annoying because it's like I've actually learned a decent amount of things, like getting a foundation underneath me as far as the Photoshop stuff goes. But then it's like right as soon as I started getting an understanding, well, my computer started screwing up. So that was an annoying thing. But I'm at this point, I'm just kind of focusing on finishing up this comic and getting it where it needs to go. And I, think I got the tools enough just fine to do that. And then try not to think too much about how I'm going to be making videos and editing things and all this other stuff that I've come to kind of really rely on my computer for. I'm trying not to think about that too much, but just focus on what's in front of me. But the kind of biggest thing I dealt with this week, I haven't even got a chance to talk to you about it, but had to kind of face almost like losing my job and stuff because as I saw it, I stood up to one of my bosses and kind of told him that he was a lazy bully. And when you're at work, there's no reason why you can't work. Which I just felt like I was saying true things. I didn't get all emotional, lose my temper, but it pushed it a little too far. And so that led to like a 3-day thing of like corporate crap with HR and stuff like that. But
it turned out good in the end, though.
Yeah, I mean, we all still work in the same place, so as good as it can be, as good as it was before. I don't know. I don't have a real problem. Like, me and this person can be nice with each other, no big deal. With me, it wasn't ever like a big emotional thing, and I don't have a problem with people, just different personalities at work, so long as, we can all just work. But, so I don't know. I think overall, like I was getting talking tos and what I did wasn't good and this and that and everything. But ultimately, it kind of brought, I don't know, attention to an issue that was getting swept under the rug. So I think I'm supposed to feel like I really did something wrong. But I kind of made sure to let them know that I don't feel that way. And then we'll make the same decision again. But I let them know that I understood how they felt too. So,
like, I won't talk to my supervisor again, but I don't regret telling him that he was in the wrong.
Yeah, like I kind of, I said all I need to say to the person, so whether they change or not, that won't have much to do with me. So, yeah, so I've even had like some people really nice, knew I was kind of just dealing with some stuff. Even some artists here, and Ronnie had said hey to me to say congratulations about B100s, and I've been just kind of behind on any sort of little correspondence and stuff because it's just been kind of all I can do to just kind of maintain the course as far as energy when I get home to just kind of work on the artwork. And that's one of the reasons why the videos really kind of took a back seat for a while, because it was like if something's got to give, it'll have to be, things that aren't my relationships and are not the actual art that's, really important. So yeah, that's been kind of the problems I'm dealt with really. It really, it hasn't really been like that bad, just kind of a bit exhausting to deal with at work, and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's been the bulk of my stuff, tech stuff and just work stress, something that I think anybody can relate to, right?
Yeah, for real.
So yeah, go ahead.
Do you have any bits of nuggets of that it might have taught you?
So that's where, nothing super big and wise and everything, but like with the 100s and with like, you don't do the 100s, but you still build these daily habits and everything. You're really good with that. And, with whether you have depression or you don't, you're just dealing with a crazy situation at work. And when you get home, you just want to say, screw it and crawl into bed. It was just important to me, like still even on those hard days, if you're just getting in like, the minimum amount of time, or at least going, I'll at least just sit and do my half hour, and that usually turns into more. But just kind of making sure to not let those stresses rob you of the habits and the rituals that you've built, at those times where it seems like, you just want to like throw in the towel that day and just go relax. Those are kind of the days that like for your sanity, you really need to like go to the drawing table. And, the first 15 minutes, you're just going to be thinking about the crap at work and the stress from that. But pretty soon you start thinking about line choices and color choices. And after a while, it's not just like you feel better because you worked on your art, but you actually like were able to let some of those problems go or whatnot. So For me, it was just focusing on what was important, especially as it relates to this show and art and everything, but just making sure that I still put in time on what I knew was really important to me. Things like work stress can kind of like make you think that is really important,
Right.
And make you think like, I'm stressed out about whether or not I'm going to have my job, and I'm going to go sit and try to make pretty pictures. And it's like, hell yeah, because that's what you want your job to be eventually, one way or another. So for me, that's kind of the exact time to kind of hit the drawing board. So how about you, man?
I learned, and I kind of always have known this about myself, I don't reach out enough. I kind of am a confident person when it comes to a lot of stuff, and like I'm not like arrogant or anything in terms of like thinking I'm awesome. I'm just like confident that like I'll figure it out, like it'll work itself out, like that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely kind of learned like I've gained resources and contacts over these past 2 years, and I should use them, because I was stressing myself out, being like, how the crap am I going to find a new printer in 5 days? It took me a month to feel comfortable doing all this research the last time. And it was like, oh yeah, I have all these people now that have done this before in some way, shape, or form. Like, stop. I don't have to be the guy in my basement who's trying to do the thing. I can literally ask people who've done this thing already. So there was definitely a moment of like, I always talk about this, and I always kind of preach about this to people that I know and stuff, which is like to get involved online with like groups and artists and stuff like that. And like, a lot of people are like, oh, social media and is ruining everything. And I'm like, dude, social media is why I know half the people I know in this industry, and could like send away things to be critiqued by a person I see once a year at a convention, but will always have my back whenever I need his help on something and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, there's just like so much stuff that I've gained and people that I've met, and now the only relationship I have with them is through this kind of stuff, and I'm learning to rely on that more.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, man. And I even in my case, I think I need to reach out more. In the exact same way that you said, but you're like reaching out with like a technical problem, and like me with like emotional problems or work stress or whatever. I don't even necessarily mean like reaching out to be like, what do I do about this or whatever, but yeah, like it's a really cool community to be a part of. And me, like when I start dealing with a lot of that stress, it makes me totally like retreat from the social media thing and not really want to get my negativity out there and everything. But honestly, anytime I sort of just let it hang over the edge and really kind of show what's going on in life or this or that, the community is really supportive in one way or another. In fact, Peter Palmiotti, that dude is awesome. Look him up, Peter Palmiotti. But yeah, he's one of the people I haven't gotten a chance to kind of get back in touch with. But the other day he was kind of like, he just sort of said in a way that was, how's everything going, man? To where you sort of answer a bit honestly and everything. And the dude immediately just had really nice and supportive things to say about like, let's get together and spitball some freelance ideas and different things that you can do. And yeah, so be a part of that community. I think that's an excellent point, David. And yeah, just as we're talking about, Mike Emeritz, from what I was saying before, gave me a hell yeah, Scott with the horns throwing, and Ronnie complimented the attitude as far as what we're doing here, I think. So, and yes, Peter is a good dude, man. Yeah. I'm ready to help that guy with whatever he needs,
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that's an excellent point, David, is we build this community, and we're not just building it so that we can sell people stuff. We're building it because it's nice to be a part of something, and I'm pretty jazzed about it. So.
Yeah, I definitely think that's like a thing. I realized it also because I used on Instagram, we talked about this, like when I first started trying to get my account bigger and stuff like that, I joined some groups of people who were like, hey, we're artists and we like your stuff. Like, let's all like each other's stuff and help out. I was like, yeah, this is really cool. And I joined like 4 or 5 different groups. And in the end, I'm down to like just 2 because I realized like it was cool to have people liking my stuff, but it was like all this spam and it was all this like disingenuous things where people weren't actually really supporting me. They were just kind of like throwing likes and things out. And then I realized like, I don't even care if I had 100 followers. If I had 100 followers that I could actually rely on and go to with questions and that kind of stuff, it's just like so much more important and like part of what it actually is to like be on the social media and use it as an artist. And I think it's hard to you get caught up in it all the time being like, man, I post and no one comes to see it. But it's like, you know, if you post and 10 people come to see it, and it's the same 10 people every time, like get in contact with those dudes because that's what it's about. It's like go beyond just having fans and meet some good people. I mean, there's a friend of mine now that it's kind of crazy to call him a friend of mine. And like Ace, who comes on here all the time, he's also one of these who we just met at a convention. And then just because we got along and he was stoked and I was stoked that he was stoked. And now we're friends and we actually do things. And I've been on his podcast and he's been on ours and he comes to the convention to help us out. And we got another buddy named Chase who I met first year at KCCon who ended up helping me on Saturday at the Planet Comic Con and was like literally probably part of the reason why I did so well. Cause he was like so into my stuff that he was almost selling it better than I was.
That is awesome, man. See, I love this community. I'm not always, you know, I'm sometimes an old man about social media stuff, but like a lot of dangerous things out there. I guess the responsibility of who's using it and how you're using it makes a big difference. And as far as the comic creating community, sometimes the comic loving community is a bit harsh. They can be a little rough on social media sometimes, but for the most part, I'm finding that the creating community is pretty rad, man. I'm really excited to be a part of it. Even right then, I had trouble saying be a part of it. I wanted to say, you know, excited to try and be a part of it, but it's like, no, we're here, we're doing it. These people are here to talk to us and hang out and wish us good luck and congratulations and. Yeah, it's awesome. Engage.
Yeah, definitely. There, you gotta give just as much as you take. This is like another thing that I talked about with. We had him on a couple times ago too with Ace and Chris Rao. I work with him, and we always talk about like we don't want anything except for positivity to surround this thing that we do. Like I don't want there to be any reason why you don't associate me and my art with just me being positive with you and with other people and all that kind of stuff. It's like. So many people choose the negative route. I don't understand why.
Yeah, I hear you.
So,
either.
So this was a fun thing that happened beforehand. Talk about problems. But my Surface Pro, which is what I go live on right now, my charger's been acting janky for a really long time. And tonight it was acting really weird because it's like that thing where the cord gets loose and you got to jiggle it. While I was jiggling it, and I pulled the cord right out. So we are down to 30% on my laptop here now, and I will not be able to charge it until Wednesday when the Amazon order comes in. So I think let's wrap this up let's look at the comments real quick and make sure nobody asked any questions or made any comments that we don't need to address, and then we can talk about plans and wrap it up.
Well, Ace, to answer your question, when you come out here, we get an episode in. I would love to. It'd be a lot of fun, to figure that out. So I'm in Bellingham, which is like a couple hours north of Seattle. But not far enough for that to be like a big problem or anything, so don't worry there. But yeah, I'm definitely down with getting together. I'm not sure where or how exactly, but we'll make it work. Keep in touch with me on that. I'm awful with plans sometimes, so just keep me posted and keep in touch. But yeah, we were all just talking in the comments about how awesome a guy Peter Palmiotti is. So you guys should go search him. Peter Palmiotti, 2 T.
Looks like we had a couple other ones. Ace brought up a good point, and he said we were talking about the whole like click on the button afterwards, and then you can pre-order stuff. He said, "What if you run out of books?" So it sends you to my shop, and on my shop, I can put an actual set amount of like what my inventory is. So the pre-order is only available for 100 of the books of the stock that I'm ordering. And if for some crazy reason 100 people pre-ordered it, it would cut them off at some point, and they wouldn't be able to order more than I have to give them. Looks like there was another one here. What was it? Oh, you just addressed that one. That was also him talking about coming to the episode. Yeah. Yeah, looks like everybody else is just kind of saying hi and doing their thing. Let's see.
Pepper. Hello, Pepper. How's it going? You said, I had said, what's up, everybody? And you said, not much. Did Dink as a spectator this weekend. I was really waiting for you to like retype Dink as like, I meant to say this, but I'm guessing that's some sort of like a cartoonist festival or something. I'm not really sure. So I'm curious, but what were you going to say, David?
That was the other one I was going to say. I said I was going to say maybe we can ask Pep what Dink is. I was literally going to say that.
What in the dink is going on?
Like, that's like the funny, like, I don't know if you misspelled drink.
Yeah, I know. That's what I wasn't sure. We're really caught up on this, Pepper, so you're going to need to help us out here. But anyway, before we move on to plans here, we kind of talked about problems. Did you have anything else you want to talk about with problems? I feel like we hit that pretty good.
No, yeah. I mean, that was it. That was like my fun. That was my stress and my fun, like, realization that, like, I need to start relying more. Like, the outsourcing thing I always have a problem with. Like, when I first started doing this in my mind, I was like, I'm going to do it all if I can. And I still do a lot of it myself. But, like, I mean, I've already outsourced, like, the PDF of it. I have a friend of mine who does that kind of stuff. Honestly, like, when we got to a certain point, like, if I can find someone who's good at lettering and I trust them, I think I would even hire like a letterer. I don't hate this process, but like, I think the part I love is drawing. And if I could draw all this and send it to a person to letter and then send it to a person to PDF and make my flow faster, I would totally love that. Cause like, it's just like one of those things where I'm like, I got to stop relying so much on just me and like use this community. Pepper did say Dink is a cartoon in IndieCon in Denver.
I'm gonna have to look that one up. Dink. Thank you, Pep.
I bet the D stands for Denver. I bet it's like Denver Inc. or something like that, right? Like,
that makes sense.
All right. There's one more thing I saw before I was going to move it on.
So no, yeah, just on what you said there with outsourcing, and we had just mentioned Peter Palmiotti before, but I think that's a trend we're going to start seeing more and more with so many people who are making comics and creating these close communities, and with so much access to be able to, print books on demand or Kickstarter or however you want. And all of us individual people who are realizing how hard it is to make all these things by ourselves. I think we're going to start seeing a little fad in cartooning that is going to be these small groups getting together to kind of create like their own little like Marvel bullpens. You know what I mean? Like, you letter my book and I'll flat yours and I'll do the colors for that one. Yeah, I think that's something that we're going to see here, and I'm really excited about because I think people should, so that they can get more and more of their ideas out. Because when you really realistically look at how long it takes you to make a book, how many stories can you get out before you can't make stories anymore? So
yeah, and that's part of it. Definitely is that feeling of like, I mean, I'm not old necessarily, but I'm definitely at the point where I'm finally thinking about my age, and I'm like, I mean, if it takes me this long to finish one book, and I've got 10 books ready to roll in my brain, and if I don't have time to make them, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself.
I know it has me thinking. I don't know if anyone has any recommendations, but I have so much of that October story, but still so far from like a really like solid script that I'm like, yes, this has all the heart in it that I want. I've got a lot of elements, but I'm like, it almost has me like, I've had a couple people in mind to sort of ask, you know, if they wanted to, you know, help write the story, you know, like a lot of it's created by me, but like written by, you know, someone else possibly, or by the both of us, or because I really love working with other people on projects, and the kind of give and take that can happen where you have a great idea, but now because you've bounced it to them and they've thrown it back and you keep doing that, it changes into this other thing. It just becomes so much more powerful and fun and creative. So we'll see what the future holds on October, but once this 4-pager is wrapped up, kind of jumping into plans anyway, going to be thinking about that a bit more. But anyway, just real quick before, how much battery you got left?
I'm at 27%, so I should be able to last through that.
Good.
Yeah, so I'm good to go.
Like a real quick side show and tell segment here before we go into plans and wrap up or whatnot. Any comics you've been picking up and reading, or video games that you've been playing, or stories or movies or anything that have really been setting your imagination this week?
We talked about this beforehand, and usually I would definitely have things to be like, yeah, watch this thing, and yeah, because I'm always finding new fun animes and random sci-fi things to watch. Definitely throw out a shout of if you have not watched the Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix. That thing is a beautiful masterpiece in itself. It is an anthology of short animations and things that have just a robot and sci-fi related, and have you got a chance to watch it yet?
No, based off your recommendation, man, I really want to, but similar to you, I just haven't had a whole lot of extra time. But yeah, based off what you said, how excited you were, I'm totally down with checking that out. It sounds really interesting.
Uh, Funny thing that happened. I was about to text Chris to tell him to watch it, and as I was literally texting him to be like, "Hey, have you seen this yet?" He sent me a pic and was like, "Dude, this thing is the coolest thing ever. If you haven't already, you need to get on this and watch this." And
That's awesome.
So I mean, it is. It's like everyone I know who's like a nerd of any kind is like all over this. It's like an anthology of 16 shorts, and not a single one is bad. They are all just like, some of them are like 6 minutes long, some of them are like 15 minutes long. It is like they were done by like people. Like it's just such a great, like I'm like stoked for more. Like I'm like, man, anthologies and stuff on Netflix, and it never even thought it'd be like a thing, but it was like a really cool thing where it's like, yeah, let's get more of this, let's make it happen.
Very cool.
Show and tell wise, I showed you it before we started, but I can totally show it because I'm
yeah, let's see it. That was cool.
So at Target, I don't know why, we're like about to go through the checkout, and my wife's like, "Why is that $4?" And I'm like, $4? What? And for some reason, this was on sale for $4 at Target. It's like the limited edition, looks like a VHS. Stranger Things, like when you pull it open, it straight up, like the thing of it looks like a VHS. It has like a poster in it and like all this extra stuff. I love this series. It's the best. I can't wait to like dig into this. But she's like, "You don't need that. It's on Netflix." And I was like, she's like, "That's probably why it's only $4." And I was like, "This thing is sweet." I am all about an art thing where it's like there's a limited edition piece. There's a sweet poster on the inside of this. That alone was worth $4, man. So I'm stoked about this. I've loved this series since it came out. I remember you were the one who made me watch it. And then like the next day was like the biggest series on the planet. But it was like for those like 2 days where we were getting stoked about it, it was like this random weird sci-fi series. And I'm like, I love it. I'm stoked it blew up the way it did.
Yeah, for sure. I remember seeing the preview for it and just kind of being like, was this meant just for me?
Yeah.
Apparently, like that's how a lot of people felt. And it wasn't even necessarily all the nostalgia stuff exactly that kind of made it so beloved, but yeah, man, I fell for that show hard. Very cool, man. Any other things to show?
No, that's pretty much it. My life has been the comic for the past month. My wife's over it. I'm ready to move on.
I totally hear that, man. I'm ready to move on from this project. I've loved it and putting a lot into it, but I'm ready for the next thing. But just real quick for a show and tell, I picked this bad boy up today. If you can see it there, Amulet. Oh my gosh, I forgot his name.
Is that Kamikazuki or whatever his name is?
Yeah, I know I've known it before. That's ridiculous. Kazu Kibuishi. Kibuishi. Yeah. I'm sorry. The book is called Amulet, and I'm an idiot. But anyway, up today, it was $7 at the bookstore. It was on sale, so I was like, I've been waiting to grab it for a while, like a good time for it. So I finally picked up book one of that today. I've never read it. But when people talk about Digging Jake Parker or Loving Bone, Amulet oftentimes gets talked about as well. So I'm really excited to give that a look. I finally wrapped up reading. I got this about around here or so. I gotten all like the individual trades for a while, but I finally broke down For the Love of Bone. I got the good book.
Yeah.
And I finished. Oh my gosh. And man, I'm a Jeff Smith fan for life. I do love the colored editions from Scholastic. I am glad I saw those first, so I didn't have any kind of like, oh, the book is better than the movie type of attitude. But being a wannabe cartoonist here, getting to see all of this in black and white, it's just beautiful. I love it. I use this as a lot of inspiration, I think, for what I'm doing right now, as far as not trying to emulate this as style. I was already kind of doing it. But then I kind of saw what like a perfect version of what I was trying to do, I guess. So I love this. Like I said, it's my new good book. And then as far as the show and tell goes, you might be familiar. Ed Pisker and Jim Rugg. they've been doing a show on YouTube that you guys all have to check out. And I'm sure some of you have, called Cartoonist Kayfabe. I'm definitely a kayfaber. I'm hooked. But them as dudes are super cool. Ed Piskor, Piskor, I think he pronounces it actually. He does X-Men Grand Design, which I've been looking at on the shelf for too long. And I've read a few issues of Hip Hop Family Tree here and there, and they're always super entertaining and really cool. And I love the style that he does and has. So I finally started to pick up some Ed Piskor books and got my first X-Men Grand Design. And his like part 3 of that is coming out in stores like pretty soon. So I guess if you want to let your comic shops know ahead of time, they know how much to order. Because with this type of it's like a mainstream book, but with like an indie vibe. They're not really sure how much to order. And so far, every time they do it, they run out pretty quick and have to like go to second printings and everything. So yeah,
it's really cool. It has like a really cool retro thing. And like you said, indie vibe, even though it's like an X-Men title. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, an old style, but with like a weird hip. Like people were like posting that they were upset because they're like, it looks like R. Crumb did X-Men or something like that, and he was cracking up because every time they said something like that, he was just like, I'll take that compliment, you know.
Right.
You guys gotta check out the show. They're both really knowledgeable dudes about comics. They obviously love the medium. They're both incredibly talented and entertaining to watch. One guy's pretty clean cut, straightforward cartoonist guy. The other guy is like the Beastie Boys of comics, so you gotta check it out. And then the only other thing I got to share is the Batman issue 1000. They always like to have their cake and eat it too, with saying like, we're at issue 1000, but we have a new reboot and all that sort of thing. But I don't care. It has a whole bunch of short stories, so its own little anthology. And actually a few of the stories in there, like I've really liked. Kevin Smith, director of Mallrats and Clerks and all that good stuff, has a story in here that was pretty cool to read, and I really liked it, especially because I'm a fan of the TV show Comic Book Men, and you could see a story that he created off, I think, just kind of like a little conversation that he may have had on there, or a little blip. So yeah, that was my comic stuff this week. We make them, so I think it's important to read them and just kind of share with you guys what's been inspiring us and keeping us going to make more comics. So with that, David, what are your plans for the next week, by the next time we talk?
By the next time we talk, I really hope to have the book sent off to the printer. I don't know if that estimate is good in terms of Kickstarter will give me the money by then. I'm hoping by Friday I get it from them, and the book should also be ready to go at that same time. So the way it works from the place I'm getting, I basically order the proof separate from the book because I want a hard proof. So I will order the proof, and it takes about a week to week and a half to get in. And then I will get to look at that, look it over, and decide if it looks nice. And if it does, then I'll send in the final order. To answer Comic Den, he said, when am I going to get it in? The May 4th is pushing it. It's probably going to be more like the week after that. So it's going to be mid-May, which is what my original estimate was going to be. So that's really cool that I'm still staying on course for that kind of thing. I'm hoping to do a signing near the end of May. I bumped into a guy that I did a little bit of like a sell my art in their little shop. It's called the Pawn and Pint. It's like a gaming bar, like literally like board games and bar. And I might do a book signing kind of thing there when it comes out. And then we've got a comic shop in Peculiar, Missouri too, that got really interested in my stuff. I mean, I'm going to be on their live show May 30th, and hoping the book is also in my hands already by then as well.
That's awesome, man. I know you're nervous, but I'm sure it'll work out.
Yeah, I've definitely pushed myself past those nerves, and now I'm back in the stoke again. So my wife couldn't decide what was more annoying, me being stoked about things or me being stressed about things.
You do get pretty amped up. I can see that.
I do.
Yeah, I saw a Bone is the best comment from Pepper. Yes, it is. And are you familiar with any of Jeff Smith's other stuff? Because I saw a comic on the shelf at the bookstore today called Razzle, I want to believe. And it kept saying it had like really good accolades on it, but a lot of those accolades were like, you know, from the creator of Bone, Eisner Award winner. So I'm like, but is this book good?
Right. Cool. So his old book was good. How about this one?
Yeah, but it did have like 4 issues or something like that, and looked like way different from Bone. which I could understand as a creator wanting to do something different. So anyway, oh, get it. Okay. Good enough for me, Pepper. Recommendation for you for a comic, get it? I'm getting it. So, and also, Ronnie, it looks like Red's going to be in St. Louis in July. Still
right on.
Bit of a drive from KC, but
I'm gonna say, yeah, that's about 3 hours away from where I'm at, man. But
yeah, depending on.
If you find yourself in Kansas City or closer to it, for real, yeah, hit me up. July is usually a pretty free month for me.
Man, you never know. Maybe there's some sort of a cartoonist convention going on near there in July. Ooh.
Yeah, STL Comics, that dude does stuff in St. Louis all the time, and I've done his microcons before. So I've been looking for an excuse to do one of those.
Well, there you go. So for me, as far as plans, I'm kind of waiting to see with my buddy and this indie gutter stuff, just kind of how I can help to get it going, and just kind of waiting to see what that evolution is going to be like. So I'm not really sure how to start like planning that or evaluating that for time and everything. The main thing is within the next like 2 days, I have to have that 4-page comic completely done and sent to Mr. Mike Emeritz there, which should, knock on wood, be a relatively easy thing. But you know me, and even to put in those screen tones, that'll be the first time I really do that. So it's always a learning process. So, but anyway, that's got to be done pretty soon. So when I talk to you next week, it's going to be a good feeling, because basically this project, for the most part, will kind of be out of my hands. Now, I don't know if we're going to be doing like a trading card or anything like that yet for the Kickstarter.
I was going to ask you that. Is that what you guys are going to do? You're going to do a Kickstarter for it?
Yes. He sent us the thing. I don't know exact. I'll wait to kind of give like definite stuff, but we got to get everything kind of together first. But yeah, this summer we're going to be hitting it with a pretty rad Kickstarter. And I think it's going to be fun because it's got like 30 artists in it, like I said, and we're all going to be bringing our audience to the table. And man, this is going to be a sexy book. I've seen a lot of the art that's going to be going into it, and everyone brought their A game, man. I feel like I put a lot of heart and soul into my stuff, just to try to keep my head above water with some of this stuff, and not trying to be self-deprecating or anything. Just folks made some awesome pages for this comic. So
yeah, I've been following some of them. Mike's Goblins thing looks pretty sweet. I'm excited to support it.
Yeah, and Mike Emeritz, I don't know if you've seen Cartoonist Kayfabe yet or not, but Jim Rugg and the way he sets up his pages with the geometrical layouts and all of that stuff, and the golden ratio, definitely, reminded me of a lot of the stuff that you're doing. So if you haven't, you're kind of on the scene checking the stuff out, so I'm guessing you've probably seen that stuff, but if not, I think you'll really.
Yeah, I'm actually really into that kind of stuff. Like sometimes I'm like really into that, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like I go in and out of like thinking that stuff is like the coolest thing ever, and then wanting to try it, and then not wanting to. You know what I mean? There's like this. Yeah. I'm on this fine line of like it blows my mind to think about, and at the same time, sometimes you just have a composition in your mind, you just want to do it, and you don't care what it breaks.
Well, and like the ultimate rule that I'd kind of like to live by with comics, with all the style questions and should you buy hand or digital or this or that, is ultimately what I'd like to do is like, does it serve the story or whatnot? And that's why I like that Jim Rugg guy a lot, because he sets up his pages like that. And on the beginning,
okay, sorry to interrupt. I just got the 5-minute you're about to die notification.
Okay, we'll wrap up quick. But anyway, he had it set up to where like the beginning parts were like somebody like in school and in prison and stuff. So things were very rigid and set up with all those things and everything. But then at some point they sort of escaped and like went to like a punk rock show and like all this stuff. So for those pages, he didn't use his normal grids and stuff. He just kind of went loosey-goosey with it. So even that guy who's super tight with his cartooning still finds ways to like throw all that to the wind for the purpose of the story.
Yeah, I love that.
Mike Emeritz says, love kayfabe. I actually messaged Jim to tell him that. LOL. Awesome, man. Yeah, and Ed Piscor, the way that he like had all of his templates laid out for different boxes for his stuff, I love that. I'm totally going to be making one of those. Before you die out, I know I'm talking fast, but before you die out, anything you want to leave us with?
Just if you missed out on the Kickstarter, you can still check it out. I left the link in the show notes so that you'd be able to get in there and click the thing. You can pre-order it through my store Envy.
And the name of it?
Analog Missions is the
Analog Missions
series of 3 short stories, each about a different character that will appear in a bigger book. But the way I'm writing it, it's all very self-contained. So you could enjoy book 1, 2, or 3 without all 3, but they are even better when you have all 3. And they'll lead into a bigger 150-page actual like graphic novel thing that is in 2 parts. In the end, it is a 5-book, beautiful little fun series that's going to create itself in a way that doesn't feel too epic, so that you can get in whenever you want to and enjoy some robots blowing each other up.
Woohoo! Sounds amazing, man. For me, yeah, I'll keep you posted on both indiegutter.com as well as I'd Rather Be Drawing Anthology. To keep up with that, you can follow me, like I said, on Instagram, Mr. Green Draws, mr.greendraws, or if on any social media you follow the hashtags the100s, so THEES 100s, or THEE 100s, the 100s, or hashtag the100s anthology, or hashtag werewolves and unicorns. But that's all I have. Follow that, and you'll keep in touch. That's all I got, dude. Thank you all for joining us. Are you clocking off, David? I might be stuck live here, and I think his computer dropped off. So, hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. I had a great time with you. Sorry David went kaput. I'm drawing out this ending, but good night, everybody. Really enjoy you being here. Like I said, go check out Cartoonist Kayfabe. And also, yeah, check us out too. All right. Peace out, everybody.